Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Corruption Watch. On today's episode, I'll be interviewing a poor citizen from Nicaragua, and he'll be explaining his life struggles about the corruption of the Nicaraguan government and how it is affecting him personally. Good evening, Mr. Warner Lopez. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
So I hear that you live a very poor lifestyle. So where are you currently working?
Currently, I moved to El Socorro to work at the coffee bean factory.
Okay, how are you liking things down there?
You know, it's really hard work. I actually just came back from a shift. Started at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh wow, it's been a really long day for you. It looks like you're all sweaty and tired. It looks like you need some sleep there.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's understandable. For how long have you been working at this job?
I think 5 years maybe, and I was actually at another plant, and
Okay.
that lasted about 2 years ago, but I had to move from that plant because they actually gave me a raise at this one.
Okay. Oh wow. So how much more money have they been paying you at this new job?
I think it's 20 cents. 20 cents every week.
Oh really? Wow. So how has this new wage impacted you personally?
Well, I just actually had a baby, so.
Oh nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. So hopefully I could afford some food for this baby, and really that's why I moved here.
Okay, I see. So now on to a new topic with our viewers here. I heard there was recent elections that just happened. Were you currently involved in them?
Yes, that was a bad experience.
Who did you vote for?
I actually voted for Fabio Gadea.
Why did you vote for him? I know he's a member of the Conservative Party, but could you tell us a little bit about why you voted for him?
Well, I voted for him because he promised more aid to us people, us poor people, and he actually gave us some food before the election. So
that's nice of him.
Yeah, and but you know what the weird thing was, when I was walking away, there was big guys with some guns. They looked pretty big, and they were actually taking the ballot box and throwing it away. So,
oh wow, that's very strange. I would never think that would happen. As you see many of these politicians today, they just think about what's in it for them instead of really thinking about the bigger picture. So I can understand why. So I know the current president, his name is Daniel Ortega. Has he done anything for you personally, or what are your opinions about him? Do you like him?
Well, you know what? I don't really have anything to say about him. What has he done for me? I don't think he's done that much. I've been poor all my life. I had to get out of school. I didn't even go to high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
that's
I don't think he's done anything for me.
Yeah, well.
With his,
Well, coming from that, who do you think is one of Nicaraguan's best president?
You know what? I haven't even kept. There's no real point to even answer that because I've been poor and really they haven't done anything for me.
That makes sense. Thank you very much, Mr. Warner Lopez. I wish you all the best in the future.
Okay.
It was very interesting to hear about your life struggles. It really taught me something, and hopefully it taught our viewers around the world to be more aware of these things that are not usually covered in the media as often as they should be. And I wish you all the best in the future, and say hello to your little daughter and your wife for me. Stay tuned for more of this episode. We'll be later talking with an expert about the corruption of Nicaragua and how it's affecting all of its citizens. His name is Dr. Reyes. We'll be back after these messages.
The party has won an overwhelming number of votes on the recent elections in November 7th, 2011. Observers from the Organization of American States describe some issues regarding the voting lists. However, expressed the elections were developed in an atmosphere of civism with very low attendance from voters. Many other organizations, such as the Civic Foundation of Ethics and Transparency in Nicaragua, declared fraud in 70 of the 153 municipalities in Nicaragua. The electoral system reported that the Sandinistas won 134 of the 153 municipalities. The other municipalities were reparted in minority parties. There were many fights between Sandinistas and the opposition, resulting on the death of 3 Nicaraguans. Much controversy surrounds the fact that the Supreme Court of Justice, which is dominated by magistrates elected by Daniel Ortega, trumped a prohibition on re-election in Nicaragua, habilitating Ortega to run for a second consecutive
Welcome
term.
back, everyone. I'll now be speaking with Dr. Reyes, who is an expert on this issue. Good evening, sir.
Hey.
How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're welcome, anytime. Could you tell me and our viewers a little bit about what's happening in Nicaragua during the last presidential elections?
Of course. Now, the problem in Nicaragua not only concerns about the current president. Now, the current president had his first term during the mid-80s and had his second term starting on 2006 and finished in 2012. Now, according to Nicaraguan constitution, you're only allowed to be in power of the country for 2 terms, and he ran for re-election in 2012, which isn't constitutional because this would be a 3rd term.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he didn't really care about the law. He didn't really care about anything. He realized that he could do it because he controls the government. He controls the army, and he just decided he was going to run for a 3rd period. For a 3rd term, and he.
So what do you think the government can do in terms of fighting back poverty and improving the education on these people?
Well, I feel like the lack of education is based on the poverty aspect, the underemployment aspect. And how do you fight underemployment? You establish a minimum wage. Countries such as Canada, United States, European Union all have a minimum wage. Nicaragua does not have a minimum wage. Now, this minimum wage prevents people from not having enough money to feed themselves.
Yeah.
This is a problem that's going on in Nicaragua. People do not have enough money to feed themselves. If a minimum wage is established in Nicaragua, companies would be forced by the law to pay the people like a standardized salary, which would provide for them and for their needs, which would benefit the education issue, given the fact that if parents are being paid enough to feed their children, they will not have to take their children out of school. However, this is not enough of a measure to end both poverty and the lack of education in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
There's also a need to set a limit, a minimum age for children to drop out of school. For example, Canada has a standardized age of 16 for children to be able to drop out of school.
That's true.
So I feel like Nicaragua has to make laws regarding what age children are allowed to drop out of school, because right now Nicaragua has a as I mentioned before, 46% of children in Nicaragua do not graduate from high school, and this is why Nicaragua is so poor right now, because people are not educated. Without education, jobs cannot be opened that improve their lives, and they're stuck in a cycle of poverty, which their parents underwent, and their grandparents underwent, and their grandparents.
An ongoing issue.
Exactly.
If they don't. So then this leads me again to, according to ethics and transparency in Nicaragua, the recent elections that just passed had the highest absent rates. What do you think caused these people to stay away from the voting polls?
So, I mean, many things have caused people to stay away from polls in last election. At first, when you know that the person running for election is already coming off to the voting polls as corrupted, given the fact that he's running a 3rd period that he shouldn't be running, people right off the start lose faith in the elections and do not have interest in voting. Secondly, as I mentioned before, both parties in Nicaragua have undergone many extortions on the people. They have both show the people how little they care about them, and people are simply fed up of this cycle of abuses.
That's true.
So they lose hope on elections. They simply do not care, because they realize that whoever they vote for, it's going to exploit them in the end. Therefore, people simply do not want to vote anymore, because they feel like they're going to be poor anyways, regardless of who they vote for.
I see. and that's very true. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I know you would love to talk about this a bit longer, and I would love to hear about it, and I know our viewers would too. But I thank you very much,
Thanks.
and good luck in the future, and I'll have you back on the show maybe in a couple months.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll see you
You're
soon.
welcome. If Nicaragua aspires to be a true democratic nation, it has to eradicate anomalies such as denial of individuals' right to vote and secrecy of the vote. In addition, if Nicaragua is ever to be considered a respectable country, its government must implement policy forcing children on assisting to secondary school. To conclude, Nicaraguan government must establish a minimum wage that allows its citizens to move beyond poverty. Thanks for joining us tonight. See you next week on Corruption Watch, and have a good evening, everyone.